The massive human warship UHS Colossus drifted through the dark void of space like a sleeping giant. Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge, looking out at the stars through the reinforced viewing ports. The ship stretched 15 kilometers from bow to stern, making it the largest military vessel humanity had ever built. Its dark gray hull was covered with weapon systems, sensor arrays, and docking bays that could house entire fleets of smaller ships. "Captain, we're detecting unusual energy readings on the long-range sensors," called out Lieutenant Commander Lisa Carter from her station. Her fingers moved quickly across the holographic displays as she tried to make sense of the data. "It looks like some kind of battle happening about 2 light hours from our current position." Morrison walked over to her station and studied the readings. The energy signatures were unlike anything in the human databases. "How many ships are we looking at?" "Hard to tell, sir. Maybe 20 or 30 vessels engaged in combat. The energy patterns are completely foreign to us." Carter adjusted the sensors to get a clearer picture. "Whatever they're using for weapons, it's not based on our technology." Dr. Amanda Price, the ship's xenobiology specialist, hurried onto the bridge. She had been monitoring the communications channels for any signs of intelligent life during their patrol. "Captain, I'm picking up what might be communication signals from that area. They're using frequencies we've never encountered before." Morrison nodded thoughtfully. For 300 years, humanity had been expanding into space, building colonies and establishing trade routes. They had found planets with primitive life, but never encountered another intelligent species. The possibility of first contact was both exciting and terrifying. "Ryan, can you clean up those signals?" Morrison asked Communications Officer Ryan Webb. Webb worked at his console, running the alien signals through various translation programs. "I'm getting fragments, Captain. It sounds like 2 different groups talking to each other, but not in a friendly way. The computer is trying to build a translation matrix, but it'll take time." Chief Engineer Marcus Johnson's voice came through the communication system from the engine room. "Captain, all systems are running at 100% efficiency. If we're going to investigate those ships, we're ready for anything." Morrison considered his options. The Colossus was on a routine patrol mission along the outer rim of human space. They were supposed to check for pirates and survey new star systems for possible colonization. First contact with alien species was definitely not part of their original mission. "Sir, the energy readings are getting stronger," Carter reported. "Whatever's happening over there, it's escalating quickly." Commander Elena Rodriguez, the ship's diplomatic officer, stepped forward. "Captain, if these are indeed alien species, we have protocols for first contact situations. We should approach carefully and try to establish peaceful communication." Morrison made his decision. "Set course for those energy readings. Keep us at a safe distance until we know what we're dealing with. All departments, go to yellow alert." The Colossus turned slowly through space, its massive bulk moving with surprising grace. The ship's advanced engines pushed it forward at speeds that would have seemed impossible to earlier generations of humans. As they got closer to the source of the energy readings, the sensors began to pick up more detailed information. "Captain, I'm reading multiple ship types," Carter announced. "They appear to be divided into 2 groups engaged in what looks like a running battle. The ships are much smaller than ours. The largest ones I'm detecting are maybe 800 meters long." Dr. Price studied the incoming data with growing excitement. "Captain, this is incredible. We're looking at 2 completely different technologies. One group appears to use crystalline-based energy systems, while the other seems to rely on some kind of biomechanical technology." Webb suddenly looked up from his station with a concerned expression. "Captain, I'm translating some of their communications now. Both groups are talking about each other in very hostile terms. This isn't just a small skirmish. They're fighting over control of an entire star system." Navigation Officer Danny Phillips called out from his position. "Sir, we'll reach the edge of the battle zone in approximately 30 minutes at current speed." Morrison walked back to the center of the bridge, his mind racing through the possibilities. The Colossus carried 50,000 crew members and enough firepower to destroy entire planets. It was designed to defend human space against any possible threats, but now they were potentially walking into the middle of an alien war. "What do we know about their weapons capability?" Morrison asked. Tactical Officer Amy Harrison ran quick calculations on her systems. Based on the energy readings, their weapons are powerful but focused on much smaller targets. "I don't think they've ever encountered anything the size of our ship before." "Sir, we're receiving multiple signals now," Webb reported. Both alien groups have noticed us approaching. The computer is translating as fast as it can, but they seem confused about what we are. Dr. Price moved to another console to review the translation data. Captain, they're calling us everything from a mobile space station to an artificial moon. I don't think they believe we're actually a single ship. Morrison smiled grimly. Well, they're about to get a big surprise. All stations prepare for first contact. I want defensive systems ready but not active. We're going to try this peacefully first. The massive human warship continued its approach toward the alien battle. None of the crew could have imagined that their routine patrol would turn into one of the most important moments in human history. As the distance closed, the alien ships began to take notice of the enormous vessel approaching their battlefield. Captain, both alien fleets are starting to break off their engagement, Carter reported. They're all turning to face us. Morrison took his seat in the captain's chair, knowing that the next few hours would determine humanity's relationship with the rest of the galaxy. The Colossus moved forward through space, its massive presence already changing the course of an alien war that had been raging for decades. The alien fleets hung in space like two groups of angry wasps, their weapons still glowing with residual energy from their recent battle. Captain Morrison watched through the main viewing screen as the strange ships maneuvered around each other in patterns that seemed almost like a deadly dance. Captain, I'm getting clearer readings on both fleets now, Lisa Carter announced from her sensor station. The crystalline ships belong to something called the Zilani Confederation. Their vessels are beautiful, like living jewels that move through space. The other group calls themselves the Thrakari Swarm, and their ships look more organic, almost insect-like. Dr. Amanda Price studied the incoming data with fascination. The Zilani appear to be silicon-based life forms, while the Thrakari seem to be some kind of hive-minded species. Both groups have been fighting over this star system for what looks like several decades. Communications Officer Ryan Webb looked up from his translation work. Captain, both sides are demanding to know which galactic power we represent. They keep asking about our fleet designation and territorial claims. I think they assume we're part of some larger military force. Commander Elena Rodriguez stepped forward, her diplomatic training taking over. Sir, I recommend we try to establish peaceful contact with both groups simultaneously. If we favor one side over the other, we might accidentally become part of their war. Morrison nodded. Do it. Open channels to both fleets. The main screen split to show two very different alien faces. On the left appeared a being that looked like it was made of living crystal, with light flowing through its transparent body in beautiful patterns. On the right was a creature that resembled a cross between a praying mantis and a spider, with multiple eyes and clicking mandibles. I am Captain Jake Morrison of the human vessel Colossus, Morrison began, speaking slowly and clearly. We are explorers from beyond the galactic rim. We detected your conflict and came to investigate. The crystalline being, who identified himself as Fleet Commander Zafara of the Zilani, spoke in a voice that sounded like wind chimes. Human? We have no record of this species in our databases. You claim to come from beyond the rim, but that region is empty space. The insectoid creature, calling herself Hive Speaker Vextar of the Thrakari, made rapid clicking sounds before the translator converted them to words. Your vessel is larger than anything in our records. What superpower do you serve? Are you here to claim this system for your masters? Morrison exchanged glances with Rodriguez before answering. We serve no masters except ourselves. Humanity is an independent species. We've been expanding into space for 3 centuries, but this is our first contact with other intelligent life. Both alien commanders seemed shocked by this statement. Zafara's crystal body flickered with rapid light patterns that the computer interpreted as surprise. Impossible. No species develops space travel without encountering the galactic community. Where exactly do you claim to originate? Dr. Price stepped forward and transmitted a star chart showing human territory. We come from this region, approximately 50,000 light-years from your current position. Vextar's multiple eyes focused on the chart with disbelief. That sector was surveyed by the ancients millions of years ago. They found nothing but primitive worlds with basic carbon-based life. We evolved on one of those primitive worlds, Morrison explained patiently, Earth in the Sol system. We developed spaceflight and began exploring the galaxy on our own. The 2 alien commanders looked at each other across the communication link, their ancient hatred temporarily forgotten in the face of this unprecedented situation. It was clear that neither species knew how to handle the appearance of a completely unknown civilization. Navigation Officer Danny Phillips called out from his station. "Captain, we're receiving multiple incoming signals from outside this system. Word of our presence is spreading fast." Webb confirmed the report. "Sir, I'm picking up communications from at least a dozen different species. They're all talking about us. Some of the messages sound worried, others seem excited." Weapons Specialist Kevin Stone looked up from his console with concern. "Captain, several of the alien fleets in this system are powering up their weapons. I think they're getting nervous about our size." Amy Harrison ran quick tactical calculations. "Sir, their largest ships are barely 800 meters long. Even combined, both fleets together have less mass than our ship." The Thrakari commander suddenly became more aggressive, her voice taking on a threatening tone. "If you are truly an unknown species, then you have no claim to this system. Withdraw immediately or face the consequences." Zephara's crystal form glowed brighter. "The Zalani Confederation also demands proof of your intentions. No species possesses vessels of this magnitude without aggressive purposes." Morrison realized that the aliens were interpreting the Colossus's size as a threat, rather than a sign of peaceful exploration. In their experience, only military superpowers built ships this large. "We have no interest in your territorial dispute," Morrison said firmly. "We're explorers, not conquerors. We came here because we detected the energy signatures of your battle." Chief Engineer Marcus Johnson's voice came through the communication system. "Captain, I'm reading massive power buildups from both alien fleets. They're preparing to attack us." Rodriguez stepped closer to Morrison. "Sir, I think they're testing us. Both species want to see how we'll react to a direct threat." Morrison made a quick decision. "Danny, move us between the two fleets. Kevin, charge the defensive systems, but don't activate weapons. Let's show them we're not afraid, but we're not looking for a fight either." The massive Colossus began to move forward, its enormous bulk slowly positioning itself directly between the two warring fleets. The alien ships, which had seemed formidable moments before, now looked like toys floating around a mountain. Vextar's clicking became more rapid and agitated. "What are you doing? No ship approaches a Thrakari battle formation without permission." Zephara's crystal body pulsed with what the computer interpreted as alarm. "This is madness. Retreat immediately or both our fleets will fire upon you." Morrison remained calm as his ship took position between the enemies. "We're not retreating and we're not attacking. We're staying right here until this situation calms down. Neither of you will fire on the other while we're in the way." The alien commanders stared at the human captain with expressions of disbelief. In thousands of years of galactic warfare, no one had ever simply moved a ship between two hostile fleets and demanded they stop fighting. The silence in space was broken only by the rapid communications between the alien fleets as they tried to understand what the massive human ship was doing. Captain Morrison stood calmly on the bridge of the Colossus, while both alien commanders demanded explanations for his bold move. "Captain, both fleets are holding position," reported Lisa Carter from her sensor station. "They've stopped powering their weapons, but they're maintaining defensive formations." Dr. Amanda Price was busy analyzing the flood of data coming from the alien ships. "Sir, I'm learning fascinating details about their technology. The Zalani use crystalline matrices to focus energy, while the Thrakari grow their ships like living organisms. Both species seem to have reached technological peaks centuries ago and haven't advanced much since then." Fleet Commander Zephara's crystal form flickered with agitation on the communication screen. "Human Captain, you have placed your vessel in an impossible position. When combat resumes, you will be destroyed by crossfire from both fleets." Hive speaker Vextar made aggressive clicking sounds before the translator converted them. "No species interferes with Thrakari military operations. Remove your ship immediately or face the consequences." Morrison remained calm. "We're not moving. If you want to continue your war, you'll have to go around us or wait until we leave. But we're not leaving until we understand what this conflict is about." Commander Elena Rodriguez stepped forward to help with the diplomatic situation. "Commander Zephara, Commander Vextar, perhaps we can find a peaceful solution to your territorial dispute." "What exactly are you fighting over?" The crystalline being's light patterns shifted to what seemed like frustration. "This system contains rare mineral deposits that the Zalani Confederation needs for our technology. We have historical claims dating back 3,000 years. Vexitar's multiple eyes focused on Rodriguez with hostility. The Thrakari swarm requires the organic compounds found on the fourth planet for our ship-growing programs. Our hive queens established breeding colonies here first. Dr. Price quickly reviewed the system data. Captain, there are actually enough resources here for both species. The minerals they need don't overlap. They're fighting over different things entirely. Morrison shook his head in disbelief. You're telling me this war has been going on for decades because neither side bothered to check what the other actually wanted? Both alien commanders began speaking at once, their translations overlapping in a chaos of justifications and historical grievances. It became clear that the conflict had grown far beyond its original cause, becoming a matter of pride and territorial dominance. Enough, Morrison said firmly, cutting through their arguments. Vextar, you claim our ship can't survive combat between your fleets. Would you like us to demonstrate our defensive capabilities? The Thrakari commander's clicking became more aggressive. Your vessel is large, but size means nothing against Thrakari weapons technology. Our bioacids can dissolve any known metal. Amy Harrison looked up from her tactical station with a slight smile. Captain, there's actually a small asteroid field approaching this system. Perfect timing for a demonstration? Morrison nodded. Kevin, activate point defense systems. Show our new friends how we handle incoming objects. Weapons specialist Kevin Stone began powering up the Colossus's defensive network. Thousands of small laser turrets and particle beam projectors emerged from hidden compartments across the ship's hull. The massive vessel suddenly bristled with so many weapons that it looked like a metal porcupine. Incoming asteroid field detected, announced Danny Phillips from navigation. Approximately 2,000 objects ranging from 1 meter to 50 meters in diameter. The alien commanders watched in confusion as the human ship prepared to engage what seemed like a minor navigational hazard. In their experience, ships simply moved around asteroid fields or used shields to deflect the larger pieces. Beginning defensive demonstration, Kevin announced. What happened next left both alien fleets in stunned silence. The Colossus's point defense network came alive with thousands of precisely aimed energy beams. Every single asteroid, from the largest boulder to the smallest pebble, was targeted and destroyed simultaneously. The space around the human ship lit up like a fireworks display, as rocks were vaporized with perfect accuracy. The demonstration lasted only 30 seconds, but in that time the human ship had destroyed more targets with greater precision than either alien fleet could have managed with their primary weapons. The point defense system shut down as smoothly as it had activated, leaving empty space where the asteroid field had been. Sephara's crystal body had gone completely dim during the display. When the lights returned, they pulsed in patterns the computer translated as shock and awe. Impossible. No species possesses that level of targeting accuracy. Vextar's clicking had stopped entirely. When she finally spoke, her voice was much quieter than before. You destroyed every object simultaneously. Our best weapons can only engage a few targets at once. Morrison remained casual, as if what they had just witnessed was perfectly normal. That was just our point defense system. We use it to clear debris from our flight path. Would you like to see our actual weapons? Both alien commanders quickly indicated that would not be necessary. The demonstration had already shown them that the human ship possessed technology far beyond their understanding. Chief Medical Officer Andrew Clark's voice came through the communication system. Captain, I'm treating several crew members for stress reactions. The alien ships are broadcasting what our computers interpret as distress signals. Dr. Price studied the incoming data with growing understanding. Captain, I think we've accidentally terrified them. In their experience, weapons are used for specific targets in planned engagements. The idea of simultaneously destroying thousands of objects is completely outside their military thinking. Chief Security Officer Nicole Foster reported from her station. Sir, I'm detecting multiple communication bursts from both fleets. They're sending detailed reports of our demonstration to their home governments. Morrison realized that their simple defensive display had probably changed galactic politics forever. Ryan, are you picking up any other communications? Webb nodded grimly. Yes, sir. Multiple alien species are discussing emergency military meetings. Some are talking about forming alliances specifically to deal with the human threat. Rodriguez looked concerned. Captain, I think we may have just started an arms race across the entire galaxy. Morrison sighed as he watched the alien fleets maintaining their careful distance from his ship. Well, at least they stopped shooting at each other. The communication channels aboard the Colossus buzzed with activity as news of humanity's demonstration spread across the galaxy. Captain Morrison watched the main screen display a growing network of signal transmissions reaching dozens of star systems in all directions. "Captain, we're receiving over 300 different communication attempts," reported Ryan Webb from his station. "Everything from formal diplomatic requests to what appear to be threats and warnings. The translation computers are working overtime trying to keep up." Senior analyst Patricia Davis hurried onto the bridge with a data pad full of intercepted alien communications. "Sir, I've been monitoring the quantum communication networks. Every major galactic power is calling emergency sessions to discuss what they're calling the human situation." Dr. Amanda Price looked up from her xenobiology station with excitement and concern. "Captain, we've inadvertently become the most talked about topic in galactic politics. Some species are calling for immediate diplomatic contact, while others are demanding we be expelled from the galaxy entirely." Morrison rubbed his forehead as he tried to process the scope of what was happening. Their simple demonstration of point defense had apparently shocked the galactic community more than they had ever imagined possible. "What exactly are they saying about us?" Morrison asked Davis. Davis scrolled through her translated reports. "The Zilani Confederation has declared us a Tier 1 military threat and is requesting immediate audience with our government. The Thrakari swarm is claiming we're an invasion force sent by one of their ancient enemies. At least 12 other species are arguing about whether humans represent an opportunity or a danger." Commander Elena Rodriguez studied the diplomatic communications with growing alarm. "Sir, several species are offering us territorial concessions just to prevent us from becoming hostile. Others are threatening to attack human space if we don't withdraw immediately." Fleet Commander Zafara appeared on the communication screen, his crystal form still dim from the shock of witnessing human technology. "Captain Morrison, the Zilani High Council demands to know your true military strength. How many vessels like yours does humanity possess?" Morrison considered his answer carefully. "The Colossus is currently the only ship of this class in service, but we have others under construction." The crystalline being's lights pulsed rapidly. "Others? How many others?" "That information is classified," Morrison replied diplomatically. In truth, Earth Fleet Command had only approved the construction of 5 Titan-class vessels. But he saw no reason to reveal humanity's actual military capacity to potential enemies. Hive speaker Vextar joined the communication from her own ship. "The Thrakari demand proof that you are not advanced scouts for a human invasion fleet. Your technology is beyond anything in our databases." Chief Engineer Marcus Johnson's voice came through from the engine room. "Captain, I'm getting requests from engineering departments across both alien fleets. They want technical specifications for our point defense systems. Should I respond?" "Absolutely not," Morrison replied firmly. "We're not sharing military technology with anyone." Amy Harrison looked up from her tactical station with a worried expression. "Sir, I'm detecting multiple ship movements throughout this sector. At least 6 different species are sending military vessels toward our position." Danny Phillips confirmed the report from navigation. "Captain, we have incoming fleets from multiple directions. Estimated arrival times range from 6 hours to 3 days, depending on their drive systems." Dr. Price analyzed the approaching ships with growing concern. "These aren't exploration vessels, Captain. Based on their energy signatures, every incoming fleet is heavily armed." Morrison realized that their presence had triggered something like a galactic crisis. Species that had been neutral or even friendly with each other were now scrambling to position themselves strategically around the human ship. "Sir, I'm receiving a priority communication from something called the Galactic Council," Webb announced. "They're requesting immediate discussion with our highest-ranking official." A new alien appeared on the communication screen, unlike either the Zilani or Thrakari. This being was tall and thin, with pale blue skin and large black eyes that seemed ancient and wise. "I am High Coordinator Veltar of the Galactic Council. We represent 47 different species in this region of space." Morrison stood straighter, recognizing the formal tone of serious diplomacy. "High Coordinator, I am Captain Jake Morrison. I speak for this vessel, but I cannot negotiate on behalf of all humanity without consulting my government." Veltar's expression remained neutral but concerned. "Captain Morrison, your species has demonstrated technological capabilities that exceed anything in our records. The galactic community requires assurance that humanity does not pose a threat to established civilizations. We're explorers, not conquerors, Morrison replied. We came here by accident while investigating energy readings from the Zalani-Thrakari conflict. The High Coordinator studied Morrison carefully. Your vessel alone possesses enough firepower to devastate entire star systems. Such capability is typically associated with species that have aggressive expansion policies. Chief Security Officer Nicole Foster reported quietly from her station. Captain, I'm detecting stealth ships approaching from multiple vectors. At least 3 different species are trying to get close enough for detailed scans of our hull. Morrison made a quick decision. Kevin, active scan the area around us. I want to know exactly who's out there. The Colossus's sensors swept the surrounding space with much greater power than before. The scan immediately revealed dozens of cloaked and hidden vessels from various species, all positioned to observe the human ship without being detected. Well, that's interesting, Morrison commented as the tactical display showed their actual audience. Veltar, it appears we have quite a few uninvited guests watching this conversation. The High Coordinator's pale features showed embarrassment. The galactic community is naturally curious about new species, especially those with advanced technology. Dr. Patricia Davis reported more disturbing news from her intelligence analysis. Captain, I'm intercepted communications suggesting that some species are considering preemptive military action against human territory. They're afraid we'll become too powerful to stop if they wait. Morrison felt the weight of representing his entire species in this first contact situation. Every decision he made could affect humanity's future relationship with the rest of the galaxy. High Coordinator, Morrison said formally, I think it's time for a face-to-face meeting. Would you be willing to come aboard our ship for discussions? Veltar seemed surprised by the invitation. You would allow alien representatives aboard your vessel? That level of trust is unusual for a first contact situation. We prefer direct communication to threats and ultimatums, Morrison replied. But I should warn you, our ship is quite large. You might find the scale intimidating. The alien diplomat's large eyes showed what might have been curiosity. Captain Morrison, I have lived for over 600 years and seen every type of vessel in the galaxy. I doubt your ship will intimidate me. Morrison smiled slightly, knowing that no alien in the galaxy was prepared for the true scale of human engineering. High Coordinator Veltar's shuttle looked like a tiny insect approaching the massive bulk of the Colossus. Captain Morrison watched from the bridge as the alien diplomat got his first close look at the true scale of the human warship. Even through the communication link, Morrison could see the High Coordinator's large black eyes growing wider as his small vessel passed along the 15-kilometer length of the human ship. Captain Morrison, Veltar's voice came through with a slight tremor. I may have underestimated the scope of your vessel. The Galactic Council will need to revise our initial assessments. Dr. Amanda Price smiled as she monitored the alien's biological readings. His heart rate just doubled and his stress hormones are spiking. I think reality is finally setting in. The shuttle docked in one of the Colossus's smaller landing bays, which was itself larger than most alien ships. Commander Elena Rodriguez led the diplomatic team to greet their guest, while Chief Security Officer Nicole Foster made sure the route to the conference room would properly demonstrate the ship's capabilities. When Veltar stepped out of his shuttle, he stopped and stared at the cavernous docking bay around him. Hundreds of human crew members went about their duties, operating machinery and vehicles that dwarfed the alien's entire diplomatic vessel. The High Coordinator had to crane his neck to see the ceiling far above. Welcome aboard the Colossus, Rodriguez said formally. If you'll follow me, Captain Morrison is waiting in our main conference facility. The walk to the conference room took 20 minutes, even using the ship's high-speed transport system. Veltar remained silent during the journey, his ancient eyes taking in the scope of human engineering with growing amazement. Corridors wide enough for aircraft stretched in all directions, while massive elevator systems moved cargo and personnel between the ship's hundreds of decks. How many beings live aboard this vessel? Veltar finally asked as they passed a recreation area the size of a small city. About 50,000 crew members, Rodriguez replied casually, plus space for 20,000 additional personnel if needed for extended missions. The alien diplomat stopped walking entirely. 50,000? Most of our largest space stations house fewer people than your single ship. When they finally reached the main conference room, Veltar found himself in a space that could have hosted the entire Galactic Council with room to spare. Captain Morrison waited at a table designed to accommodate dozens of different alien physiologies, with environmental controls that could adjust for hundreds of different atmospheric requirements. "High Coordinator," Morrison said, standing to greet his guest. "Thank you for accepting our invitation. I hope this meeting can help prevent any misunderstandings between our species." Veltar took his seat carefully, still overwhelmed by the scale of everything around him. "Captain Morrison, I must confess that the Galactic Council gravely underestimated human capabilities. We assumed your vessel was an anomaly, perhaps a converted asteroid or space station. We did not realize it was a purpose-built warship." Morrison nodded diplomatically. "We understand the confusion. Human engineering tends toward practical solutions, even if they seem excessive to others." The conference room's main screen activated to show a real-time display of the space around them. Dozens of alien ships from various species maintained positions at respectful distances, all watching the unprecedented diplomatic meeting taking place aboard the human vessel. "As you can see," Morrison continued, "your arrival has attracted quite an audience. My sensors show representatives from at least 30 different species observing our meeting." Veltar studied the display with professional interest. "Word of your demonstration has spread throughout the galaxy, Captain. Every major power wants to understand human intentions and capabilities." Dr. Price joined the meeting to provide xenobiological expertise. "High Coordinator, we're curious about galactic society. Our observations suggest that most species reached technological peaks centuries ago and stopped advancing." The ancient alien's expression became thoughtful. "You are correct, Dr. Price. Galactic civilization values stability over progress. Most species achieve space travel, establish their territories, and maintain the status quo. Aggressive expansion or rapid technological development is considered destabilizing." Morrison began to understand the scope of the cultural difference. "So when we appear with technology beyond your databases, it threatens the entire galactic order." "Precisely," Veltar confirmed. "In our experience, species with superior technology use it to dominate others. The galaxy has been peaceful for thousands of years because no single civilization possessed overwhelming advantages." Rodriguez leaned forward diplomatically. "High Coordinator, what would it take to convince the galactic community that humanity is not a threat?" Veltar considered the question carefully. "The Galactic Council is prepared to offer humanity immediate membership, with full territorial rights and major power status. In exchange, we would need assurances about your expansion policies and military intentions." Morrison exchanged glances with Rodriguez before responding. "That's a generous offer, but I cannot speak for my entire species. I command one ship, not the human government." The alien diplomat seemed surprised by this response. "You are not the supreme leader of your people?" "Humanity doesn't have a supreme leader," Morrison explained. "We have multiple governments, and major decisions require extensive consultation and democratic processes." Veltar's large eyes blinked slowly as he processed this information. "Most spacefaring species develop centralized authority structures. Democratic decision-making is typically abandoned once expansion beyond a home world begins." Chief Engineer Marcus Johnson's voice came through the communication system. "Captain, we're receiving a priority message from Earth Fleet Command. They want a full report on the first contact situation." Morrison nodded to Johnson before turning back to Veltar. "High Coordinator, my government will need time to consider membership in your Galactic Council. This is obviously a decision of enormous importance for humanity's future." The ancient alien stood slowly, his expression showing a mixture of respect and concern. "Captain Morrison, I will convey your response to the Council. However, I must warn you that some species view any delay as a sign of aggressive intentions." Rodriguez stood as well. "We understand the delicate nature of the situation. How long can the Council wait for our response?" "Given the unprecedented nature of this situation, the Council will grant humanity one standard galactic year to make a decision," Veltar replied. "During that time, we request that you avoid expanding beyond your current territorial boundaries." Morrison considered the request carefully. "We can agree to avoid territorial expansion during negotiations, but we will continue our exploration missions." As the meeting concluded, Veltar prepared to return to his shuttle. "Captain Morrison, you have given the galaxy much to consider. Your species appears to be unlike any we have encountered before. The High Coordinator paused at the conference room entrance. I must ask, how many more ships like this one does humanity possess? Morrison smiled diplomatically. That information will be part of our government's discussions with your council. After Veltar departed, Morrison returned to the bridge to find his crew monitoring communications from across the galaxy. The first contact meeting had been broadcast to every major civilization, and the reactions were as varied as the species themselves. Captain, Webb reported, we're receiving formal diplomatic requests from 47 different governments. Earth Fleet Command wants us to return immediately for debriefing. Morrison looked out at the stars, knowing that humanity's quiet expansion into space was over. Danny, set course for home. It's time to let our government know they're about to become part of galactic politics. As the Colossus prepared to depart, multiple alien ships maintained escort positions at respectful distances. The galaxy would never be the same, and neither would humanity. The age of human isolation was ending, and the age of galactic diplomacy was about to begin.